Los Pronombres Sustantivos, Capítulo 1. This is our preliminary lesson of grammar about subject pronouns, because we have to establish what they are before we can really start talking about them and using them. So, I've got an example paragraph for us. Lupe is from Argentina. She is a student in secondary school. Lupe is tall. Lupe and Rosa are good friends. They are smart. Lupe and Rosa study French and Spanish. Lupe and Rosa are in the same history class too. I actually made some substitutions when I read it to you because it feels very uncomfortable for me to continue to repeat Lupe, and then again Lupe, and again. It does make sense, however, to use Lupe's name when I'm changing the subject slightly to Lupe and Rosa. But then again, to keep saying Lupe and Rosa is a little redundant. Every one of these sentences is written as if it was standing all by itself and your reader or your listener didn't really know, so you had to reestablish each time. But let's face it, in reality, your listener doesn't need to hear you repeat the subject every time. Once you've told us that it's Lupe you're talking about, you can go on to use the word she. That's a subject pronoun. And then she again. And the only time you switch back to a regular subject is when you change it from the previous discussion. So now we switch Lupe and Rosa, and what's the word we're going to use for the rest of the Lupe and Rosas in our story? Okay, so to give us a definition of subject pronouns, your answer would be they replace the actual subject after you have established for the reader or the listener who you're talking about. The English subject pronouns are I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they. Now, if you haven't already done so, you want to take out your notepad, maybe even pause the video here and record this. Important is the fact that you have singular over on this side, on the left, and plural on that side. Do not write them in any other format. I want to have a column for singular and a column for plural and have them matching up. Now, how come we have they? Well, because the plural of he is they. If a bunch of boys, they play basketball together. If a bunch of girls, they play basketball together. I guess if you had a bunch of watermelons, they wouldn't play any basketball together, but you'd still use they. Okay, we continue. You've got your notes taken. Now, what are the Spanish subject pronouns? In order, in corresponding. To say I is yo. You has two different definitions or translations in Spanish. Tú and usted. We've seen tú already. Usted is the polite version, and we're going to get to that in more detail in one of the upcoming lessons. El. This word is written with an accent mark on it so that you don't confuse it with the word the, like we've seen in front of some of our vocabulary words like el profesor or el amigo. Ella. Remember the double L sound is ya, ella. And then in Spanish, there's no such word for something that has no gender. So its are all identified as being either a masculine word or a feminine word, so el and ella are the translations. Yes, you would actually say, look at that table over there. She's brand new. The plural side, nosotros, and it can be written as a group of girls speaking about themselves, nosotras. So that's why you have, this little parentheses here. Next, ustedes. And I'll talk about that one. This is the plural of usted. Ustedes, es makes it plural. And we have a little star because there is a plural for tú, and that's vosotros or vosotras, but it's only used in Spain. never in Central America, not at all in South America, but we are going to always learn it in case you go to Spain someday. All right, the plural of he is they, so él becomes ellos, and you notice that double L sound, ellos. Please make yourself learn to say this properly. Ellas for she, and can you guess what the plural for it would be? Yep, ellos and ellas. So, your task is vitally important that you learn these words and what they mean in Spanish so that anytime you see them, you know exactly where they fit on the chart, which ones are singular, which ones are plural, and what they mean. Maybe even making flashcards for them would work. But hopefully you've got them in your notes. That's the end of this lesson for the day. Let's look at Lupe and Rosa then. If we were to take Lupe and her sentence about being from Argentina and the rest of the paragraph and translate it into Spanish, could you identify the subjects? Could you make the replacements? How about when you get to Lupe y Rosa? Can you identify what that subject is and what the replacement would be for it? Yep. Yep. Perfect.